Mary and Daniel had been married for almost 35 years. They raised 3 kids together and were now enjoying being grandparents. However, their relationship hit a rough patch 8 years ago when Mary was diagnosed with a serious illness. Even after surgery, she wasn't interested in intimacy anymore. At first, she tried to keep things going, but eventually started finding ways to avoid it. This led to more fights in their house. Daniel snapped. "Mary, come on. Is this all our life is now?" "Daniel, I just can't do it anymore. Please, try to understand," Mary pleaded. But Daniel, still on the younger side, wasn't very sympathetic. "You could at least try for our family. Look at you, acting so helpless," he shot back. 2 years ago, a new family moved in across the street from Mary and Daniel, a big family with Vanessa, her husband Mark, and their 3 kids. Their arrival sparked something unexpected. Vanessa, after moving in, brought over a cake to meet the neighbors, and Mary and Vanessa became friends. One day, Mary confided in her friend, "Daniel just seems lost, Vanessa. Life with him is miserable. These constant fights are draining me. I've told him how I feel, but he just gets mad." "Mary, this is easy to fix, let him have a mistress." "Why that look? It's no big deal. He's a man, he has needs. What's the downside? He'll get it out of his system and come home happy." "Really?" Mary's eyes widened. "But he already has a wife." "No, Vanessa, I can't do that. It's wrong. And what if she gives him something? A decent woman wouldn't break up a marriage. She could bring some other disease into our house." "Ah, there you go," Vanessa laughed. "So it's all about the health risks." "Honestly, Mary, it's the most practical solution. Are you going to be a saint about it? Daniel's still young. He needs female companionship." "Well, there's another option, divorce. But then, he'll still find someone, and you'll be alone." Around this time, things went south between Vanessa and her husband Mark. Vanessa poured her heart out to Mary constantly, complaining they couldn't see eye to eye and hinting at a possible divorce. Mary felt terrible for Vanessa, knowing how hard it would be to raise 3 kids by herself. After another fight, Mark packed his bags and left after one of Vanessa's gigs, leaving her to pick up the pieces. Mary offered her support, there for Vanessa whenever she needed a hand. Hesitant at first, Vanessa eventually came to appreciate Mary's kindness. One evening, Vanessa walked over and asked, "Daniel, could you do me a favor? The bathroom shelf fell apart, and I'm clueless about fixing it. Maybe you could spare a few minutes." Under Mary's watchful eye, Daniel grumbled and agreed, muttering, "Let's go see what disaster you've got in there." An hour later, Daniel returned home and scolded Mary. "Mary, did I volunteer to be everyone's handyman? First the shelf, then the faucet, now the cabinet hinges. Please hold back on the charity work. There are services for this stuff, like husband for an hour places with qualified workers." Trying to guilt him, Mary countered, "Come on, Daniel. She's a single mom. Why not lend a helping hand? You did a good thing. You deserve some brownie points." Vanessa started dropping by more often in the evenings with little requests. At first, Daniel was annoyed, but then his whole attitude towards Vanessa did a 180, and he started helping her willingly. Mary was happy to see Daniel being so helpful. After all, she had a capable and caring husband, and she couldn't understand why anyone would look elsewhere for help. At the same time, with Mark out of the picture, things calmed down between Mary and Daniel, and he stopped his constant nagging. Finally feeling some peace, Mary thought, "Daniel must feel sorry for me. He's paying more attention and being nicer." Little did she know, Daniel's change in behavior wasn't out of pity. Vanessa also seemed much happier. Mary noticed the change and asked, "Did you work things out with Mark? You're always smiling these days." "Who needs him?" Vanessa replied cheerfully. "I found someone else. Handy, kind, attentive. Sure, he's a little older, and there are some obstacles to being together, but I can handle them. He'll be my husband someday. Mary started noticing changes in Daniel's behavior too. He seemed secretive lately. One day, when she tried to call her sister in another state, she discovered there wasn't enough money on her phone. Without thinking twice, Mary grabbed Daniel's phone from the nightstand and unlocked it. She knew the passcode. "Daniel," she called out. "What is it?" Daniel answered, coming into the room. "I wanted to call Vera, but I can't." "There's a lock on your phone now," Mary explained. Daniel's face changed, and he rushed over to grab the phone back. "Why are you going through my stuff?" he snapped. Surprised, Mary replied, "What's the big deal? I've always used your phone before. It never had a passcode." "It does now," Daniel shot back. "I'll add money to your phone balance right now. Use your own phone to call people. And don't touch mine without asking." Feeling hurt, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that things weren't right between her and Daniel. He never used to fight about such little things. Maybe, she thought, letting him have an affair really was the answer. Shortly after, Daniel left for a business trip. On the same day, a neighbor knocked on the door. "Mary, I need a huge favor. A family emergency came up, and I have to leave for 3-4 days. Could your kids stay with you for a while?" The friend who was supposed to watch them backed out at the last minute. "I can't miss this, Mary." "Well," Mary agreed, "your kids are teenagers. They don't need constant supervision at night. We can handle them for a few days." Upon returning from his business trip, Daniel became increasingly irritable, constantly picking fights with Mary over minor things. He didn't show any affection. Instead, he focused on tiny issues like misplaced dishes, lukewarm soup, or a messy house. Desperate to fix their relationship, Mary, after a lot of internal struggle, tried to rekindle the spark in their marriage. Daniel's rejection stung deeply. "It's too late for this now," he sneered. "I'm not attracted to you anymore. You're more like a roommate than a wife." Heavy-hearted, Mary confronted her husband. "Tell me, Daniel, is there someone else? Please be honest with me. I need to know." Meeting her question with silence, Daniel left her hanging, forcing Mary to confide in her neighbor. Hoping for empathy, she shared her worries with Vanessa, but instead, her friend scolded her. "I told you, Mary, having a mistress would solve everything. But no, you cling to your morals. If your husband's acting like he's cheating, get ready for a divorce. By the way, Mary, who owns the house you live in? Did you buy it together, or is it inherited?" Sarah would have remained clueless if not for a random event. While Daniel was at work, the house phone rang, and a man's voice greeted her. "Hello? Can I speak to Daniel?" "He's not here right now. Can I take a message?" Mary responded. "Sure. Tell him he's missed 3 loan payments. The interest, penalties, and late fees are adding up every day, so he needs to settle the debt ASAP. The amount will just keep growing," the caller explained. "What loan?" Mary said, stunned. "We haven't taken any loans. We don't have any debts. Tell your husband about the loan he got from our bank," the manager sneered before hanging up. Mary couldn't believe it. She waited anxiously for her husband to return from work, then immediately bombarded him with questions. "Daniel, tell me right now, where did you get this loan from?" Daniel was speechless, his face pale. "Where did you get it?" he stammered. "Don't you even try to lie to me." Mary's voice grew sharp. "How long have you been hiding this?" "I know everything. The bank called today, demanding payment for a loan you haven't paid in 3 months. They're threatening to sue us, freeze our accounts, and take our house. Come clean now. What mess did you get yourself into?" The conversation went on for a while, and eventually, Daniel admitted to having an affair. He blamed it on his wife. "It's your fault. You drove me to another woman." Don't you think I'm still a man? I'm perfectly capable in that department. Thank you very much. Daniel, but where did you get the loan? What did you need it for? How much is it? And why haven't you paid it back? Let me guess. All the money goes to the mistress, Mary questioned. Daniel grabbed his head in frustration. I took out a loan to buy gifts for the neighbor. I thought it would impress her. I need your help to pay it off the bank. As my wife, you should understand, he admitted. It was $300,000 at first, but with all the fees, it's probably more. Suddenly, their son called, interrupting Daniel's confession. I thought about getting a part-time job to help pay it off, he mumbled. But it didn't work out. Mary, we gotta figure this out. What if the collectors come and take everything? They could send notices to my work, and it would be humiliating. Everyone would be talking behind my back, saying Daniel can't even pay his bills. What do you think, Mary? Should we ask the kids for help? He suggested, looking at the missed call. Absolutely not, Mary snapped. Don't drag the kids into your mess. Why should they be responsible for your mistakes? Did you take out the loan in their names? Let your neighbor help you out. Where would she get the money? Daniel muttered. Vanessa has 3 kids of her own now. The truth hit Mary like a ton of bricks. It finally clicked which neighbor Daniel had been seeing. Trying to hug his wife, Daniel said, Mary, it just happened. You even told me to go to her for help. She answered the door in a silky robe. What man could resist that? Pushing him away, Mary stormed out of the apartment and knocked on the neighbor's door. Vanessa, sensing the urgency from Mary's expression, ushered her inside. Let's not make a scene in the hallway. Come in. We need to talk. As Mary tried to confront her former friend, Vanessa went on the offensive. Yeah, he wasn't happy with you. He was miserable. When you turned him down, what did you expect? Daniel's a good man, generous. I'm sticking by him. Let's settle this civilly, shall we? Give my husband a divorce. I'm tired of hiding in the shadows with him. Mary wanted to lash out at the homewrecker, but she held back. She didn't want the neighbor's kids to witness a physical fight. Leaving Vanessa's apartment in silence, Mary returned to find Daniel waiting for her in the hallway. Get out, Daniel. Pack your things and leave. And tell your mistress not to dream of claiming this house. It's mine, inherited before we were married. You both will pay back the loan together. Daniel spent half the night begging Mary for forgiveness. He swore up and down he was done with Vanessa. In a grand gesture, he dialed his mistress's number and put the call on speakerphone. Vanessa, this is over. I'm staying with my wife. We have nothing more to discuss, he declared. Despite the hurt, Mary found it in her heart to forgive her cheating husband. She decided to help him with a debt by selling her vacation cabin, the one she inherited from her parents. Daniel accepted her offer with relief, and for a while, things seemed peaceful. They were a family unit again. But little did they know, the storm clouds were just gathering. The clock struck midnight, but Mary couldn't sleep. Daniel wasn't home, and she knew exactly where he was, but felt helpless to stop him. Believing Nathan was lying and still seeing his mistress, Mary exploded into angry arguments. She demanded he end things with Vanessa, often crying and getting hysterical. Daniel swore up and down he was innocent, insisting he'd been at work. Calm down, he'd plead. I was at the office, just like I said. Don't believe me? Call Mike or Greg. They'll tell you. Your accusations are getting out of hand, Mary. Meanwhile, Mary purposely ignored Vanessa, pretending she didn't exist. Consumed by jealousy, she couldn't find any proof to back up her suspicions. Daniel had gotten rid of the phone passcode, and their messaging apps showed nothing incriminating. One morning, Mary was jolted awake by sounds from the hallway. Peeking out, she saw Mark bringing his bags inside their apartment. Hey, Mary, he greeted. How are things? Fine. You too? Back for good? Mary responded cautiously. Yeah, Vanessa and I talked things through and decided to work things out, Mark explained. With Mark's return, Daniel turned to heavy drinking, leaving Mary confused. Should she feel sorry for her husband, or, on the contrary, feel vindicated? Returning home from the grocery store, Mary spotted a car parked at the building entrance with Mark behind the wheel and Vanessa in the passenger seat. As she approached, Vanessa hopped out of the car to greet her. Hey, Mary, Vanessa greeted. How's it going? How's Daniel? Mary opted to stay silent, but Vanessa continued talking. Tell him thanks for the car. It's really nice. A joy to drive. Mary stopped dead in her tracks, confused. What are you talking about? What car? The truth, Mary. Mark and I bought it with the money Daniel gave us. I heard he's in major debt with a whole factory now. What a sucker, thinking I'd be with him just for his looks. No way. Why are you staring at Mark? He knows everything. I have a few more tricks up my sleeve, too, Vanessa declared. Mark chimed in, nodding his agreement. Yeah, Vanessa and I have an open relationship. When she met with Daniel, we weren't living together, so technically, it wasn't cheating. Feeling faint, Mary stumbled back to her apartment. Overwhelmed by pain, she called her daughter, who came over right away. Mom, this can't be true. Your neighbor is probably lying. There's no way Dad did this, her daughter argued. I paid off his debts, forgave him, hoping he'd change, Mary cried. But he did something even worse. I've made up my mind we're getting a divorce. You choose who you want to side with. Daniel was evicted from the apartment, his reputation in tatters. He moved into a small studio apartment, financed by the remaining funds from the bank loan. None of the kids supported him. When they learned the truth, they sided with their mother. Left to face the consequences alone, Daniel was forced to confront a harsh reality. After Mark's return, Vanessa quickly lost interest in Daniel. In a desperate, drunken attempt to win her back, Daniel approached his former mistress. But Mark swiftly intervened, threatening to physically remove him if he tried again. Mary was determined to get a divorce. She had reached her limit and wouldn't forgive her husband any longer. Despite Daniel's persistent pleas to get back together, Mary remained unfazed. During their divorce proceedings, Mary's daughter shook her head in disapproval, reminding her mother, Mom, how could you have missed the signs? You should have kicked him out and filed for divorce right away. Don't complain now. This is on you. You can't be so trusting. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more awesome stories in the future. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, and we'll see you next video.